Hello, my dear students. It's great pleasure for me to welcome you all to my online classes. I hope you all are doing well. Well, without wasting too much of time, let's get started. I'm Samreen Khan from St. Mary's School, Nagina, here to teach you History and Civics of class 6th. Dear students, you have already studied this subject last year also, but it was a combined subject as you had only one book, that was Social Studies. But now you will study separately as History and Civics in one book that I'll be teaching to you, and Geography, another book that will be taught by other teacher. Before starting, let me tell you one very important thing, that if you have taken last year book, that book has changed this year. Last year we were using Focus on History Civics by Goyal Brothers, but this year we are going to have Essential ICSE History and Civics by Sagarika Mukherjee. So if you have taken previous year book, so students, you have to change that one. So you have to buy that book, but don't worry. Till then, I'll be providing each and every possible material to you by these online classes. Now, as you can see on the screen, that our first chapter is Introduction. Introduction of what? Introduction of history. History, what we are going to study means we are going to study about our past or about the past of the world. So here I have written one definition for you, that history is the study of our past, or it may be defined as a careful and systematic record of past events. Understood? It is a very careful and systematic record of our past events. Now, how do we get such information? So these informations basically given by some of the persons. These persons are known as historians. See in this next picture, a person who studies and records the events of the past is called a historian. Means the person who has been collecting things for many years, or informations when the person combined, or when the person has given such information, such accurate information to the people, so the person is called a historian, right? Now come back to the previous page. History has two types of source materials. First, we need to understand what is a source material. The evidences in history, means proofs in history, are called source material. Obviously, without proof, without evidence, we cannot say that whether it is right or wrong. So, when we have the evidence in history, these evidences are called source material. They may be divided into two categories. You can clearly see two categories: archaeological and literary. There are two categories, archaeological and literary. So these source materials have helped historians in piecing together the story of men. In piecing together means they collected the information about early men from different places, and they put all the information together from the earliest times to the rise of the civilizations. Civilization for sure we will study in our upcoming chapters. So I'll tell you in detail when I'll teach you civilizations. There are 4 civilizations. So these source materials basically helped historians in piecing together the story of men from the earliest time to the rise of civilization. Or, in simple words, you can say, since they used to live in the forest and they had a very different way of life, they were very no they used to have animals as their food, they were hunter gatherers, or they had no home. So that time their life was completely different, and when they came to the civilization, that time they had a very balanced life. This is what we call civilization. Next, let me tell you about these source materials. Very important topic. First, we will study about archaeological source material. The study of material remains of past human existence is called archaeology. These remains means the remaining things, which includes tools, weapons, articles of daily use, coins, buildings, writings on objects, etc. It may be in any form. So these materials are known as archaeological source materials, and material remains often lie buried in the ground. Obviously, historians had to dug it out, and they got some information in the form of archaeological source material, and these have to be excavated or dug out. I told you very clearly, they had to dug out these materials to give information to common people that what early men had or what life they used to have. Next, we have another source material, that is literary source material. Literary means written records. Things which are written in any of the form come under literary source material. All written records of the past are literary source material. Literary sources include all kind of handwritten documents called manuscript. Handwritten documents are called manuscripts. Inscriptions, that is written engraved on rocks, pillars, copper plates, clay tablets, walls of temples, houses, tombs, and so on, are also literary sources. Means whatever is written related to the history or related to the previous years. Previous years means years, many years ago, like 1,000 years ago. Whatever information we got in the form of literary source material, it may be written on the rocks, pillars, copper plates, clay tablets, walls of temples, houses, tombs, and so on. So, there are two types of source materials, archaeological and literary source material. Now, come to the next point, very important point, human achievements in the Stone Age. Before starting this topic, let me tell you about Stone Age. But before starting Stone Age, one very important paragraph which I want to tell all of you, early men. Yes, here you can see early men. First, we need to understand something about early men, and then you will be able to understand very clearly about Stone Age. In the beginning, early man was a food gatherer, means he used to roam from one place to another to gather food. He learnt to make simple tools. So while he was searching, he had some incidents and he learnt how to make simple tools with materials such as the branches of trees, bones of dead animals, and stones. So, this period is called the Stone Age because early human, they had 90% tools made of stones, and it lasted for a very long time. It means Stone Age. Stone Age lasted for a very long time. Basically, it has been divided into two parts, Old Stone Age and New Stone Age. But here we are going to give you a very common idea, a combined study of both. Now come to the achievements in the Stone Age. Human achievements. Slowly, when human learnt how to make tools from stone, what he achieved? See, during the Stone Age, man discovered and learnt to make fire. Fire, actually, it was uh, completely an incident for early men early men, because once he was rubbing two stones, and suddenly he saw some sparkle, and he threw those stones, and those stones reached to some dry leaves, and the dry leaves started burning. First too, he was very afraid that what happened actually, but slowly he came to know that this is very useful thing for early men, as fire protected them from animals. Basically, I'm talking about wild animals, and this fire gave them light also, heat also in the season of winter. So it really helped them to move further. Then domesticated animals such as goats, sheep, and cows. Very important point. Early men learnt to domesticate animals. Basically, these animals helped early human in giving food, for example, milk, or food like ghee or other things, whatever he never imagined, he started getting from these animals by domesticated them. And some other animals like oxen, uh, bull, or buffaloes, or other horses, these type of animals helped early human in transportation, right? Next we have cultivated crops and became a food producer. Yes, it was also purely a coincidence for early human that once he was eating something, and he threw the seed simply on the ground, and after some days he saw, or he understood that some kind of plant came out. And when he saw that, he was very amazed to know that this is the same place where he threw that seed. And again he experimented, and he came to know that yes, it is really no working. So he started cultivating crops and became a food producer. Means he himself started producing food for the family, or for, you can say, for the whole group. No, they used to live in a group. So it was another achievement of early human. Next we have designed various tools such as axes for cutting trees. Yes, trees, you can say, they had the major source of having so many things. So they need to cut trees, and they need to had some kind of tools for that. So what he did, he started making some kind of tools such as axes with the help of stone, basically. And they started attaching some kind of wooden handle into that, and it made a very successful weapon for them. And they started cutting trees from these axes. Next we have invented the wheel. Wheel was, no, I must say, a very great achievement of early human, which improved transportation. Obviously, before that, they had to carry things on their back, but after the invention of wheel, It really improved transportation and helped in pottery making also. Pottery making, you might have seen, whenever you have seen some kind of potters, they had, they have one wheel, and when they move that wheel, start moving that wheel, they make some kind of pots, earthen pots, something. So the same kind of pots they also started making with the help of wheel. And after making such pots, what they used to do with them, actually, because you already studied that they had become the cultivators of crops, so they started, storing those crops into those pots. Understood? So these are the achievements of early human in the stone age. Now next we have a very important topic, that is man discovers copper. Copper is not the new word for you, it is a metal, right? So copper was the first metal to be used by men. It proved to be a very useful material and came to be regarded as precious and sacred. This discovery marked the transition from the Stone Age to the age of metals. Yes, there was another age of metal, and you can say that it was completely a change from the Stone Age to the Metal Age, where early human started using metals such as copper, bronze or tin, alloy. There are different metals, so he started experimenting with them, and he started using them in a very good way. While experimenting with metal, men mixed copper with tin and invented a new metal called bronze. Are you getting? I'm teaching you about copper, and when early men mixed copper with tin is another matter. So what he got, actually one new metal he got called bronze. So this was the beginning of the Bronze Age. Okay, so my dear students, I have almost explained you all the important points of this chapter. Let's recall once again what we studied first. We studied about what is history, then we studied about source material of history, that are archaeological and literary source material. Then we studied about early men, and don't forget what I told you, persons who studied and records the events of the past are called historians. Don't forget this definition also. Then I told you about achievements of early human in the Stone Age. These are very important points. I made all these points in a very short way, so that you can understand, you can learn it well. Next, I told you about the discoveries, or the discovery of copper, right? Now this is the time to take some homework. Basically, I wanted to give you questions only, but this is the first time, so I am going to give you straight away with questions with answers. But next time onwards, I'll only explain the chapter, and then answers you have to do by your own. See the next picture. Here are 4 questions. These are short questions. First question is, define the term history. Here this is the answer. History is a systematic record of past events. Next question is, what is meant by source material in the context of history? I told you very clearly what is source material. Evidences on the basis of which historians draw their conclusions are called source materials. They are of 2 types, right? The third question is, what do you understand by the Stone Age? I told you what do you understand by the Stone Age. The Stone Age is the period when stone was the most widely used material for making simple tools. Do you remember I told you that stone early men used to use 90% for making tools, right? That is why Stone Age is, very remarkable age also, you can say. So here this is the answer. Next question is, how did domestication of animals benefit early men? I told you two type of animals they used to have, one for food and one for transportation. So I wrote both the animals, different points. First one is, domestication of animals such as goats, sheep and cows helped early men in providing milk and meat as food, skin as clothing and horns for making artifacts. Next, animals such as oxen, horses, donkeys helped him in transportation. Got it? Now, one more question is there. Last question, question number 5. Name 3 major inventions or discoveries of humans in the Stone Age. See, in achievements, we studied so many things. What are the things he achieved in Stone Age? So here I wrote only 3 points, because three only, this question is having only 3 points. So here, discovery of fire, invention of wheel and domestication of animals. So these 3 major inventions, or you can say discoveries or of humans in the Stone Age, you are supposed to write. Now listen very carefully. All 5 questions you have to write in your fair notebook very neatly, very beautifully. And after this, you are supposed to learn also these questions, as I have given you all 5 short questions. In next video, what I'll do with you, I'll give you long answers as well as book exercises like fill in the blanks and true false. Till then, you study well, revise the chapter well and do your work in your fair notebook. Thank you.